What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports NBA Hardwood show. We're here breaking down the 11-game NBA slate tonight, and a lot of ramifications from the trade deadline. It was exciting, a lot of big moves, and here's a slate where it is the moves at the trade deadline will impact this slate a little bit. There's a lot of stuff we're still kind of waiting on in terms of like who's in and out. But again, it's a loaded slate. Friday, February 10th, NBA season is in full swing, and we're starting to see some of these names pop up in play that are like, who the hell are these guys and why are we playing them? But that's where we're at in the NBA season here. Bring on my guy JTHayes first. How's it going over there, man?
Yeah, as someone said in chat, Friday frenzy, right? I mean, that's what we're looking at here. There are days like this, though. Hoop, CDome. I don't know how you guys feel about God, Jesus, Yahweh, Allah, whatever you want to worship, but there are some days, it doesn't happen often. But today is one of the days where I think perhaps there is a God. And perhaps there's a God because the Spurs-Pistons game is the first game of the night. We're going to have starters maybe 6:58 and get an opportunity there to go ahead and digest that, because what a disgusting situation with these two hideous teams, shorthanded, coaches with Alzheimer's. And that's the way we're going to start the night. But a lot of other things to get through. Giannis at 12,500 and 41% ownership on a back-to-back. It's going to be interesting here because when you look at ownership here, like you were saying, it's really concentrated around the value plays, and the mid-range is getting completely overlooked, and the top end is really consolidated around two guys. But it's Friday. We're here. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Congrats to our guy, Alex, who was watching the show last night. Heard Sweet Travis talk about Aaron Gordon and just, won a cool 80 grand, including a seat to the live final where he has a chance to win more money. If you guys aren't a member yet and you're watching, you're in chat, code JTHayes15. 100% off your first payment, 15% off of everything for the life of it thereafter. And let's get into this on Friday. Good to see you guys.
Good to see you as well, the Friday crew. A lot of momentum this season. It's good to have everyone here.
You missed you last week.
Yes, we did. Yeah, me and Title swapped. I did Wednesday, he did Friday, and we're back on the schedule. But we are missing one thing tonight, and those are the sleeves on CDome shirt.
Absolutely.
Looking nice and buff. You got the tattoo. My guy CDome, how's it going over there?
Good, man. Yeah. No, it's sleeve season. The weather's hot today in San Diego, so obviously we had to dress down for the occasion. But JT was looking kind of swole last week, so I had to kind of spice it up a little bit this week. Can't get outdone by the travel baseball legends. So no, I'm looking forward to this slate. To be honest with you, I like this slate way more than last night. So I think we can find some good pieces and hopefully take something down. Everyone's shipping seats this week for RPS. Yeah. So does the streak continue tonight? That's the real question.
Yeah, tons of seats, obviously. I mean, I think it was, 4 or 5 seats in the last couple of weeks, probably less than the last couple of weeks. Maybe the last week, it seemed like every morning you wake up and someone got a seat to that live final. So RPS will definitely be highly represented at that event and hopefully taking it down. I know we have guys with seats to the FanDuel event as well. So maybe we can get a little double shipper in there. If you're not a member, as JT said, get on over to runpuresports.com. And use that promo code. Is it JT15? Is that what we want to go with?
You got to give him the right one. It's JTHayes15. JTHayes15. Go ahead, sign up now. I'll pick up your first month. Why not? Go ahead. Let's get it on.
Let's do it. All right, let's hop into the slate. There's a lot of news, a lot of injury stuff we'll be waiting on. First game of the slate, we have the Suns, we have the Pacers, 230.5 total. Pacers favored by 2.5. On the Suns side, Devin Booker will be playing, but in some sort of a limited capacity, and that will kind of be enough to take away a lot of the appeal for the Suns players. On the Pacers side, pretty much at full strength and on an 11-game slate here in the middle of February. It's really hard to go to teams that are basically at full strength. So for me, this game, I'm really not seeing any plays. I'll mostly be fading this game. I'll go to you first, CDome. Any interest here?
When looking at this initially, no one, really likes this game. However, though, I think DeAndre Ayton should at least get some consideration. Cheaper than on FanDuel. He's 8,100 on DK. Just looking at the matchup, I mean, he's in a prime spot here. One of the worst DVPs here in regards to Indiana against big men. They're also giving up 5.45 average DK points per. That's wrong. I'm looking at the wrong thing. But anyways, DeAndre Ayton looking here. He's projected for 42 points, 8,100. I don't mind it. The ownership's not going to him. Chris Paul, it's a no-go for me. I can't pay that price tag, especially on a back-to-back. And then I think if you want to look at just one consideration on Indiana that he's kind of popping is 9,400, projected for 44 fantasy points. Tyrese Halliburton. But other than that, man, it's like you said, it's hard to give anything to consideration here. When looking at everything else, it's either Ayton or nothing for me personally. But you can consider those other two guys I mentioned, and I think that's it.
Yeah, it's a tough one. And if we don't have all the news on the slate, I mean, do you really want to lock yourself into anything this early? JT, anything for you here, Suns or Pacers?
Just a situation where if one of these guys like a DeAndre Ayton or Halliburton sneaks into the lineup, if the opto pops one in there, if I limit the higher price guys, then I'll go ahead and roll with it. But other than that, it's not a game that I'm prioritizing anything from.
Yep, on the same page. Next up, we have the Knicks and the 76ers, 223 total in this one. 76ers favored by 6.5 in this game. And on the 76ers side, it looks like they're just going to continue to list Embiid as questionable, and then he ends up playing every game. So you have to imagine that he is in. And he's a fine spend. I think if people are spending tonight, they do go to Giannis. And like you said, JT, it is a back-to-back situation, some degree of risk. Embiid 11.5, a little cheaper. Maybe he's a pivot on the slate. And then on the Knicks side, only guy that's somewhat appealing to me would be RJ Barrett. The results have been all over the place, but relatively cheap, 6'4". He'll play a lot of minutes, and he'll kind of chuck the ball, and that's really it. Just like Embiid and RJ for me. JT, any interest here?
Not really in this game. One thing I did note, and again, with all the value that we have, it's going to be tough to play any of these guys. But DeAnthony Melton at 4,400, 30 minutes last several games, guards against the Knicks do pretty well. Don't think I'll get there. The price stood out, but I think for the most part, this is going to be a cross-off for me.
CDome, anything for you in this game?
Yeah, I think that something happened with the mic, though. I don't know. Someone was
is it my mic?
I think something was like brushing against it or something. Just to give you a heads up.
All right, yeah. I put it down low for a second to give you guys a little below the belt preview.
For obviously there's a lot of value tonight, and we're going to get to those games coming up. When you look at Embiid, he's just not projecting as maybe good as, say, a Giannis or maybe a Tatum. And for me, I don't think I can go there. But I will say James Harden is interesting. And I think what the only reluctancy is he's not taking as many shots as he has in the past. 11, 13, 15 shots. Haven't really seen that 20-plus shot threshold. However, though, New York really struggles defensively. And also, too, when you look at kind of the breakdown when it comes to point guards and ball handlers against New York, they shoot very well against New York. Their efficiency in regards to like field goal percentage and three-point percentage, very good, very strong. The matchup is pretty solid for him. So I will say, if you're going value tonight and getting studs, he's also under 10K. I don't mind looking at him here in regards to that. A guy that if he does take a ton of shots, if this game is a game that kind of plays to where defense is not, involved, he could easily have a smash spot at the 9,800 price point. So I think it's fair to give James Harden consideration here in this game. Outside of that, though, I mean, there's really no one, even value plays. DeAnthony Melton, I get it at 4,400, but if that's probably the only dual eligible, even valuable play that I would consider here in this game. Everything else is just really difficult considering kind of what's given to us tonight already.
All right, JT, two questions for you. First is number of likes. How many likes do we need to get the plays of the day? And it is Friday. And again, I always say you don't want to miss out. You have the Rich Parents play of the day. You have the carbonated wine play of the day. But most importantly, the Eiffel Tower play of the day. And that's the best way to start out your weekend. I can promise you that. So number of likes. And then our guy, Sting Rizzy, Barnes said, is there a promo code? He wants to know if JTHayes 15 is still good to go.
Yeah, it is. It is. In fact, Sting Rizzy, thank you for asking, because it's the only code that works here. Don't mind any of the other codes. It's the only one that's going to work. JTHayes 15. Forget about what anyone else tells you. The likes, like I said, I think one of those days where I'm like, maybe there's a God. We started off hot. We were close. We got to like 75 likes before we even started the show. Maybe there isn't a God because you guys just stopped hitting the fucking like button. And I don't know. If there's a God, he wants that button smashed. He wants it smashed over and over again. Doesn't matter that it only counts once. Just sit there with your mouse for 3 minutes. Smash it as many times as you can. 394 watching. We're going to get to like 600, right? By the time we end, there's going to be 650 watching. 366.
366. I like that number. I'm going to write it down because I probably.
Otherwise, you won't remember. Yeah,
we'll
be struggling later.
It's not like if it's not like a 300, 350, 400. There's no chance. So 366. It's on my notes here.
Let's add in a caveat.
369, man. If you remember
369. All right, Randone just raised it.
369. And let's add in a caveat.
Damn, you're fine.
Yeah.
Give it to me, baby, one more time. Get low.
Exactly. Let's add in a little caveat. It's 5:01. We got a lot of games tonight. You can't be doing this in the last minute. You can't be playing catch up here.
Yeah, I agree with you.
We need this to hit by 5:41. 369 by 5:41. You got 40 minutes to get about 290 likes, something like that.
I'm gonna have to get a new notepad for all these changes. So we're at 369. 366 is gone. 369 likes, 5:41 p.m. All right, I got it. Perfect. So we got 41 minutes to get there. Start pounding.
And if everyone hits it now, if everyone that's watching right now just hits it and gets it over with, number one, we'll be there. You'll know that the plays are coming. You don't even have to watch. You could just record it and come back. But of course, you're going to watch, because who wouldn't watch the three of us? And then we won't talk about it again. Right, Chunky Blue? Thank you.
Just Chunky Blue at it again, risking it all from a few weeks ago, risking it all at work, listening to the show. He's back at it, and he has an answer for your initial question about God. There is a God, and he hates people who don't hit the like. So it goes perfectly with what we're kind of talking about right now. So hit the like, keep this momentum going. Yeah. And I'm assuming this is the reason you're all here. The Spurs and the Pistons game, basically the toilet bowl of the slate. However, one of the more appealing for DFS, the Pistons are favored by 6. And the only reason that is the case is because the Spurs are resting everyone. Still have 10 bodies. And the one thing you know about Pop, he's going to use those bodies for sure. He's going to use all 10. He clearly wants to lose this game. With that being said, still have to consider a couple of these pieces on the Spurs side. Zach Collins will probably be popular. Isaiah Roby, Devontae Graham. Did they add him to so they added him, and he's 3K flat on FanDuel. He's 3.6. You have to consider some of these guys. It is uncomfortable, but they're all cheap, and they're going to get some sort of minutes. On the Pistons side, I think we have some plays as well, like Killian Hayes at 4.7. Isaiah Stewart 5-1. There are guys to consider here. Pistons Spurs, it looks gross, but man, unfortunately, we have to come here for fantasy purposes. CDome, what do you have here in this game?
God, there's just so much to discuss here. But I mean, the first thing is the fact that these two teams don't play defense, man. So no matter who is going to be rostered here, I mean, they're in a spot to at least potentially get there. And so that's why we're seeing so much ownership as well, is because not is it just, these guys and they're only, limited to 8 or 9 guys in a potential rotation. But I mean, this is the second highest over under on the slate. So you're looking at, quite a bit of ownership going to Stanley Johnson. It sounds disgusting, right? You probably want to throw up thinking that. Zach Collins, Blake Wesley. Now, I will say, Wesley's very interesting. I am hoping that Devontae Graham is active. Maybe they make him the starter. But I think Wesley coming off the bench and might lower the ownership and give us leverage. Now, if you should probably go watch his summer league, video on YouTube, his highlights. But if you've watched at least the last couple of Spurs games to any degree, you would know that this guy is not only a ball handler, he can shoot, but he's aggressive. We're paying something to the price of min price for a guy that could potentially, have the ball in his hands quite a bit. make plays, but also aggressive. Not just like some passive big man that maybe we need rebounds or defensive things. So I like Blake Wesley here. He's dual eligible as well, so it gives us some flexibility with the roster construction. I think Isaiah Roby's interesting. Another aggressive guy, big man, used to play for OKC if you're familiar with him. He's min-price as well. Obviously these guys are all projected to hit, the mid 25-point range, which I don't mind. I think the question is, how many Spurs can we play? Really comes down to kind of what you think is optimal tonight and what you think fits most. I will say, though, a guy that's not getting love that could be in the starting lineup, which he did start 2 games prior this year, is Dougie McBuckets. So he's 3,300, doesn't have the best projection. He's getting no ownership. He's getting no love. Does that change? I don't know. But I will say in those 2 games, 33 fantasy points, 29 fantasy points. He shot 14 threes, guys, in one of those games. If he's going to have any sort of volume, they need to shoot. I mean, they don't have too many shooters here with this type of offense. So I think he should be considered. I mean, he's not getting love. I get it. But hey, at the end of the day, we got to find like the Ish Wainwright of last night, and this is kind of could be one of those spots. So looking at the other side of the ball, Killian Hayes and Ivy, these guys are in prime matchups. I don't mind them whatsoever. I like Killian Hayes a lot. It just kind of sucks that so much ownership is going to these guys. But if you're looking for like a discounted ownership, Jaden Ivey is the guy of the 2. He's also dual eligible as well. So, I mean, you're going to want pieces from this game. Second highest total on the slate, limited on one end. You got another end where, it's such a great defensive matchup. Spurs don't play defense. I mean, hey, there's really no perfect formula for this game, but I'm going to say that you're going to want at least some pieces to some degree.
Yeah. And the question, like how many Spurs is too many? I think that number is lower than most teams in this situation. I don't think you want to go overboard on the Spurs just because, like, we know, like, all these guys are going to get run. Like, he's going to make sure everyone plays some. That being said, though, you have to consider some of them. So I don't think you want, like, 4 Spurs on a team by any means. But getting exposure here.
I will say, too, sorry, is that he's not getting ownership, and I didn't realize this until now, but Malachi Branham, he's dual eligible. He's 4,900. If you haven't, the kid averaged almost 50% from 3 in college. He's a great shooter. He can ball handle too. If that stays the same, I don't mind playing the leverage here and putting more ownership into Branham if no one's going to go there. So 4,900, 30 plus minutes, volume's there. I'll sign me up.
Yeah, I'm cool with him for sure. JT, Spurs, Pistons, how are you handling this one?
So we've seen this situation with Popovich before. And what he's tended to do is almost equally distribute the minutes. We've seen them when they have 8 or 9 bodies. They actually went out and they signed Gorgie Deng so that they would have another body. I mean, that's how much he hates minutes, is they're picking guys up that are out of YMCA leagues. So yeah, I do agree.
Is he active, JT? Is he active tonight?
I believe he is active.
Yeah, I believe
he is active.
Oh, that's kind of big news, believe it or not.
So we'll double check, but I saw that, and then I saw an updated list of who was active, and I believe he was on it. So, so the issue there is normally on any other slate, I limit and I say no more than 1 Spur, just because even in these situations, can you play 2 here? You could, but look, I don't think you're going to get. I don't think there's anyone on this team that's going to play like 37, 38 minutes, right? If I knew I was getting 33 minutes out of a starting center against the Pistons for 4K, yeah, I would play him, but they've been reluctant to play Zach Collins big minutes. It's just the way that he manages this team. And so there's 2 ways I think you can look at it. And I think it becomes a challenge when you're trying to create multiple lineups here. You can stack this game with like a 2-3 or a 3-2 or something like that, maybe even a 3-3, and take your shots and see, all right, can I get the guys right that are going to get the actual production? It is difficult to not look at playing Stanley Johnson, although we have a guy later who's 200 cheaper, who I think has a much safer floor and really, really good upside. So I do think there are pivots on this slate to get away from the Pistons in lineups where you're not game stacking this game. And look, if one of these guys is going to go off, then it happens, but you have other guys that can match them. On the Pistons side, again, Killian Hayes started last game. Will he start tonight? He should. Hoop, if you were the coach, if I was the coach, CDome, we would start JTHayes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if Casey is going to do that again. I think he's going to start. And if he starts at 4,700, this is a fantastic matchup. Jaden Ivey, the price is good. He can do it. I like that. But again, not situations where you're going to see 37, 38 minutes out of any of these guys.
Yeah.
So I think I like some of these plays, but I also think it makes sense because of the type of slate that we have where there's value on 6 or 7 teams that you can look and find pivots and say, okay, I'm not going to play Stanley Johnson. I'm going to play Nasir Little, right? You could say, I'm going to play Colin Sexton instead of Branham because I don't want to take the risk there. But I think JTHayes would probably be the favorite from this game at 4,700.
Yeah. I mean, in NBA DFS, these are typically like slam dunk spots, but these are the two teams I think where, man, it's very tough to trust them, especially on 11 game slate. That being said, some of these guys are going to get there. Some of these guys are probably going to end up on the winner, but in other situations, you could say, okay, it's 4 or 5 of these guys. Like in this one, man, it's somewhat risky. So we'll see, but it is tough situation to avoid.
What are your guys' thoughts on almost a 50% projected owned Zach Collins at 4K? And I think the only reason why I'm asking this is because I'm really nervous about him getting in foul trouble with Duren and Stewart. I feel like these two guys, the type of bigs that they are, can really put a vulnerability situation with Zach Collins. And I can easily see him getting in trouble here just because of how they play.
Mm-hmm. I'd have no trouble fading any popular part of this game. Now, I mean, do I think they're good plays? Yeah, Zach Collins a good play? Absolutely, he's a great play. But again, I'd have no problem fading any parts of this game.
So the way I've been handling these chalk, pieces, cheap pieces in really good spots generally has been to get way over the field. It was the other night, I think I locked in two of the guys. I think it was LeVert and someone else, locked them in. I'm not even going to match the field on the Spurs here. And I think Zach Collins, considering that we have Mark Williams, who we'll talk about, we have some other center plays later that are good plays, I think a fade is entirely possible. Now, if he doesn't get in foul trouble and he plays his 28, 29 minutes, he can have 45 DraftKings points. So it's from a game theory perspective, yeah, I do think a fade there is good leverage. I also think that I want to have some exposure to him because I think he could go off in this matchup. We've been playing centers against Detroit for quite some time. And one thing I can tell you, one thing I can guarantee about this game is the unexpected is going to happen.
Yeah.
At least on the more so on the Spurs side, but even on the Pistons side, I wouldn't be surprised if you see Alec Burks out of nowhere or Hamidou Diallo, who's 3,400 tonight, out of nowhere get 32 minutes and go for 50 fantasy points.
Yeah. I mean, it's the premier DFS game on the slate, and there's not much security here for sure. So, just be careful. Proceed with caution on this one. Next game, we have the Hornets. We have the Celtics, 225.5 total. Boston favored by 11. They'll continue to be without Jaylen Brown here. And then Al Horford is also listed as questionable on the Celtics side. And then the Hornets side, relatively thin as well. The name that's kind of popping is Mark Williams at 3.2K. Should get some solid run here down the stretch for the Hornets. On the Celtics side, I think we've got a lot of plays. Derek White, Malcolm Brogdon, both solid options. Robert Williams, very solid. I mean, safe, I'd say, at 6.1K. Tatum at 11.2, probably won't go there. For the studs, I think I'd go elsewhere. On the Hornet side, I think Mark Williams is another cheap guy you can add to the mix as a play. I'll stick with you, JT. Thoughts here on this Hornet-Celtics game?
Yeah, no Jaylen Brown. Marcus Smart is still out. You were mentioning the injuries and the guys missing on the Charlotte side. I mean, the difference between Mark Williams at 3,200 and Zach Collins is there's definitely not the same amount of upside in this matchup. Williams, we know, is going to split minutes with Nick Richards. Don't know exactly what the split's going to be, but he hasn't – same as Zach Collins, right? He hasn't been seeing a ton of minutes, but he's $800 cheaper. It is the center position, though. And I think Williams looking right now, and I think this number's wrong, but what I'm seeing is a 20% projected ownership. I think he probably comes in higher than that once people start building. But for 3,200, I don't mind that. I looked also at Sam Hauser as a cheap pivot off of some of these higher owned plays. Probably not at 4,200, but I think Robert Williams at 6,100 is interesting with no Horford, just because you have the matchup against the Charlottes. Now even Plumlee's not there. So I like that a bit. And then, of course, you can consider Tatum as a spend up here. But Charlotte hasn't been as competitive as we'd like them to be in the recent past here. So not a ton of pieces here from this game, mostly on the guys that are going to get bumps due to the injuries or guys missing.
CDome, Hornets, Celtics. Any interest here?
Yeah, I mean, he talked about Time Lord here. And for those of you who don't know, that's Robert Williams, 6,100. He's in a prime spot, man. And now you don't have Plumlee. There's less now guys down low. For me, like 6,100 projected for potentially 35 fantasy points. I mean, it's a really good spot right there for us. Not going to be owned. The question is center the position that you want to pay up a little bit in comparison to kind of the value that has been presented to us. And that value also sits on the other side of this ball as Mark Williams. And it's hard to really kind of project and kind of put him in the optimizer and models because he doesn't have that many games under his belt where he started, and two, this is a different scenario now, right? Because you don't have Plumlee. But, for those that know, like Mark Williams has been pretty efficient, man, off the bench, right? He plays 17, 20 minutes. And the thing is that he crashes the boards and, he also can score and he's efficient at that under the rim. So, this could be a great pivot from Collins. The only thing, and I've been talking about this with my boys all day, is the fact that he is going up against Time Lord. Very good defensively, makes it difficult for centers. And so the question is, can he exceed expectations with Williams down there? And also too, does he struggle? That's just really my only take when it comes to any kind of con when it comes to Mark Williams. You get great leverage off him. He does show up in the optimizer. He's cheaper than Collins. He's basically almost min price at 3,200 on DraftKings. I think that's really my only question when it comes to him. So I do get worried about him facing Time Lord tonight because of how good defensively, and they've improved significantly against big men since Time Lord has been back in the rotation now. So just kind of one thing to keep in consideration. And then Nick Richards is going to get a bump here without Plumlee. So Nick Richards is a guy that also can shoot. And, he's just a min-price big man. He's probably going to see 20 to 22 minutes tonight, potentially. I'm just curious how much do they run Mark Williams, given the fact that he hasn't really been a starter, and what does that look like? Cause he is a big man. So typically big men get a shorter amount of volume in comparison to like guards and ball handlers when it comes to, getting a step up from the rotation. But we'll have to see. And then on the other side of the ball, Tatum, the usage is crazy, without Brown. Also without Smart, offense runs through him. He has the second highest projection tonight, amongst everyone on the slate. But he's also getting a lot of ownership too. He is pricey. He's 11.2K. Do you want to pay that? You're obviously going to have to do some type of stars and scrub format, if you're trying to fit him and maybe like a Giannis. But he does pop up a lot when you kind of run the optimizer and run these projections. So I don't mind it, but I think I'm going to take a seat back in regards to everyone else. So that's pretty much it for me on this game.
All right. If you're just tuning in, new requirements for the likes, 369 is the number, but those need to get in before the end of the show. And the time is 5:41 p.m. Eastern. We need the 369 likes. So right now we're sitting at about 250. Yeah, great pace. 258. So yeah, get us there. You got 22 more minutes to get to. Yeah, easy. And you don't want to miss the plays of the day tonight, Friday for sure.
Less than 10 likes a minute. It's less than 10 likes a minute. I mean, you can do that in your sleep.
Yeah,
dude, they're gonna get it. Listen, you have to believe in them. All right, they're gonna get it.
I'm a believer.
You have faith because they're committed. They want to see these plays of the day. I'm for sure.
I got to be honest, I mean, last week we were on and it was a question. Yesterday it was a question whether or not they were going to. Yesterday they didn't even get there. It was just out of the graciousness and generosity of Big T's and Sweet Travis's hearts that we got the plays of the day. So I am less confident. I have less. I have to see it.
just figured out the audio issue is my microphone was connected to my AirPods and not the microphone that's sitting right in front of me. That should sound a lot better here.
I knew I was hearing something.
Yeah, you were onto something. Yeah, that was.
I'm not going to say it again, but I hear that shit again.
Fucking CDome has animal hearing. I don't hear shit. Everything sounds great. I hear no difference.
We should be good now. All right. We got a lot more games. All right. Jazz, Raptors, 230 total. Toronto favored by 7.5 in this game. And on the Toronto side, not much here. I mean, they basically have all their guys in there, and they're adding Pirtle. No price tags really stand out. But on the Jazz side, relatively thin after the trade deadline. Could even improve with Jordan Clarkson ruled he's officially questionable. Colin Sexton at 4K, probably a very popular value play on this. Again, could only get better if Clarkson does indeed miss. So Sexton as it stands now, but if Clarkson's out, a couple more of these Jazz guys could come into the conversation. CDome, we'll go to you. Thoughts here, Jazz, Raptors.
Yeah, I think the first guy we should, focus on, dual eligible Colin Sexton. With now Alexander gone and Conley gone, he takes the realm as far as the ball handler. And if Clarkson's now potentially going to be out, it really just improves his stock even more. This guy is a chucker. He likes to shoot. Don't mind going here. And you can get a significant discount on ownership in regards to the Spurs guys or even a JTHayes. And at a cheaper discount than JTHayes as well. So he's 4K. He projects out very well. This is someone that should be looked at and considered for GBP format. Absolutely, 100%. I think THT, Taylor Horton-Tucker, I'm not too keen on. He's 3,400. He's going to garner ownership. He just doesn't do much for me as far as like a ceiling. And to be honest with you, I could see Sexton just really kind of doing whatever he can. And then also Kessler getting involved even more. And then you have Markkanen. So, for me, I think Horton-Tucker is just like one of those ancillary pieces in this kind of rotation where there's other guys that are just going to be more efficient. And more importantly, they're going to have more volume when it comes to scoring opportunities. So probably a no-go for me as far as THT. I can find elsewhere. I'd rather play, like JT said, a Nasir Little over THT. So outside of that, though, if you want to consider someone, if Clarkson is out, I will say he could get some really good run. Here goes a name for you, JT. Okai Agbaji. Okay. And so I don't know if I said that right, but
we have to make an edit here. It's Oka Agbaji.
Agbaji, min price.
Rare edit.
Yeah, the rare edit. No, I appreciate that. But he's already seen minutes with the second unit. The thing is, we really don't know like what upside he has, but he is also going to be facing a Raptors team that kind of struggles against shooting guards. I could see him being slipped into the potential starting rotation because they are thin. So he's 3K min price. He's not going to get much love whatsoever. If you're playing GBPs, 20, 150 lineups, could be, one of those last, leverage min price pieces. But other side of the ball, Van Fleet's in a great spot. Utah, especially now, they cannot, Sexton is not great defensively, and Van Fleet should eat here. The question is do you want to pay his price tag? He's getting fairly expensive. He's over 9K now, but he's in a great matchup, man. You can't deny that whatsoever. So I think he should be looked at. But everyone else, man, it's really, really tough. There's other great plays, other great price points. The other guys don't project well for Toronto given kind of their point per dollar situation. So that's it for me.
All right. JT, any interest here in the Jazz Raptors, guys?
Yeah, I'll make it quick. Sexton at 4K. I mean, this Toronto team has been horrible defensively lately as well. So I like that a lot. And that's a value play that I'll probably be over the field on, quite considerably over the field on. I like Lauri Markkanen at 8-8 here in this matchup. I think especially if you anticipate this game being a little bit closer, then I think he's got an opportunity to smash. Last time these two teams played, Walker Kessler went for more than 50 fantasy points. People have been playing centers against Toronto here for for a bit. And one of the other reasons why you're looking at getting away from Collins or Williams for the reasons that CDome talked about is there's so much good value at guard and forward. You could actually pay down at guard forward. You like Giannis, play Giannis at center, and then you could use your utility spot for something other than a center. So you can get completely away from that. And even if Collins and Williams have decent games, you're going to have guys like Sexton. You're going to have, like a guy like Kessler potentially could have a really good game. And then the only guy that stands out to me, even a little bit on Toronto, I think he's certainly going to be lost in the maelstrom of the cheap plays today. Scotty Barnes at 7,700. The guy has been coming on of late and playing really, really well. So I like Scotty Barnes a little bit here.
One of the value plays we just spoke about is about to get a hell of a lot more popular because Mark Williams announced the starter there. So he's probably going to go way up in terms of ownership at, what is he, 3.2K. Yeah, his ownership.
That'll take away from Collins. And I think, the biggest situation here is Mark Williams is pretty good, man. And I think that's why they got rid of Plumlee, and because he has showcased himself so far this season. I think the only thing is he's coming into a situation where he's facing Robert Williams. Robert Williams is one of the best defensive big men in the league. So what does that look like tonight in regards to how much upside does he have? And also, too, don't forget the same side of the token, the foul trouble could easily take place as well. So just one thing, I think maybe what we should also consider is Nick Richards now, $3K min price. He's going to get 20 plus minutes. He can also shoot threes. So just keep that in mind. You know what I'm saying? As these plays start opening up, think about everything from a different angle. But Mark Williams, he's a good player, though. You can't take that away from him.
Sprite Soda, what team is Mark Williams on? He's on the Hornets. So if you're looking for him, he's on the Charlotte Hornets. He'll be starting 3.2K. All right. We have the Timberwolves. We have the Grizzlies, 234.5 total in this one. Memphis favored by 7. On the Memphis side, only guy I'm really looking at is going to be Ja. I have to imagine ownership should be relatively low on him. It's a good spot. I mean, if this game stays close, he could easily just torch the Timberwolves. On the Timberwolves side, Gobert and Kyle Anderson listed as questionable. So some news we need to monitor there. JT, any interest here? Timberwolves, Grizzlies.
Not a ton. Just like you said, Ja, 10-6, really, really good matchup here. Now you're going to have Mike Conley and Nickeil Alexander Walker as the guards. So don't think it's going to be very difficult for him to have his way. And then Jaden McDaniels at 4,400 is a bit too cheap here. Not the best. Actually, it has been a good matchup for opposing power forwards, but especially if one of Gobert or Kyle Anderson is out, then I like Jaden McDaniels quite a bit.
CDome, any Timberwolves or Grizzlies players for you tonight?
I could have a couple shares of John Morant, but in order to keep this going, I'm just going to let you know there's nothing from this game that gets me excited whatsoever. And if it does to you, then I'm not saying exit out, but I'm just saying it doesn't show up in optimal lineups.
Yeah. Next game could be quick as well. Rockets, Heat, 219.5 total. Miami favored by 12. On the Rockets side, it's just a brutal spot. Going to Miami, they play solid defense. I'm not seeing too much on the Rockets side. I mean, they're cheap guys. I just prefer other value over them, by a long shot. So nothing on the Rockets side for me. On the Miami side, Tyler Hero, more on FanDuel. He's 7.3K on FanDuel. I think that's a good price tag. 7.8 on DK. Not super interested. Jimmy Butler, the 8.4 price tag on DK, somewhat interesting. And then Bam, coming off the pretty big game, 55 fantasy points. He's been playing well. I think you can go there. I just don't want to go overboard. I'd set some sort of rule, max 1 of the Miami guys. Again, no Rockets for me. Moderate interest in those Heat guys. CDome, any interest in the Rockets Heat?
As my guy Lee Corso on College Game Day always says, not so fast, because we got some plays here, guys. I really do think so. Okay. First, I want to say, Gabe Vincent in a great spot here. If he's going to play his 30-something plus minutes like he did last game and games prior, I will say this is great leverage and in such a great matchup off the JTHayes play, and he's also cheaper by $200. So these are the plays that I'm looking for that really no one else is kind of looking at. Houston cannot guard point guards whatsoever. We just saw what De'Aaron Fox did in the last game against them. And I'm not comparing Vincent to Fox, but I'm just saying what they've done in the course of the season, they just can't guard. They just can't. So for me, 4,500, no one giving him looks. You're playing multiple lineups. why not, right? You have a couple Hayes shares. Well, okay, let me pivot off one of those Hayes shares and give it to Gabe Vincent. Don't mind that whatsoever. Tyler Hero, he grades out very well for his price point. I think he should be looked at as far as consideration. Houston, once again, can't guard guards. Whether you're point guard, shooting guard, combo guard, it doesn't matter. So these two, I think, could thrive tonight from the Miami side. I also think Bam could thrive as well here. They struggle against big men. He's 9,100, but he does have a good projection. And then for Houston, he's underpriced here. Jalen Green, regardless of the situation, they don't have many guys that can chuck like him. And he's 6,900. He's going to shoot 20 plus times. So I'm telling you right now, for 6,900, for a guy that can shoot 20 plus times, that's going to try to do whatever he can to keep it close, he's got to be considered, man. Like for fantasy purposes, if these shots are going down too, the minutes are there, the volume's there, has to be looked at. I think he's underpriced. So I think there are some, one-off gems from this game that could be looked at that other people aren't attacking and going to. And those are it.
All right. Yeah. JT, are you on the side of CDome here that you can see some plays in this game?
I mean, you could. The prices on Miami aren't all that bad. I think Gabe Vincent is probably the best one. I'm not going to be playing Jalen Green in this matchup or any of these Rockets. So I get it. Price is nice. Shooting guard has been the one spot that you want to play against Miami. However, I just think Jalen Green is so much of that team that he'll get a little bit more attention than he's usually used to when he's got the ball in his hands.
10 more minutes to get to 369 likes. We are just 45 away to getting that desired number. So 10 minutes to get there. The pace is good. We got 600 watching. I think you guys are going to get the job done. So 9 more minutes, update. 9 more minutes to get to the 369. So
yeah, that's why I told you it's going to be a sweat. It's going to be a sweat.
Yeah.
How is it going to be? I don't understand. Listen. I love the fact that we do this show for free and like we help people out and break it down. But man, like as soon as you just start watching the show, just hit the like. That's it. We're just trying to get enough love to continue to give the love throughout the course of the season. That's it. We're not trying to be greedy.
Love, man. All about the love, That's what it's all about. So I mean, very simple. It's always a sweat though. No matter what. If we said all right, if you got till 5:55, tonight, we're gonna go long, 5:55. They'd go right to 5:55. I mean, it's always one more game to hit the like. They're going to wait until we're just about wrapping up that game to get to the number.
And tonight where we had to set the early deadline because we got to get out of here and start making decisions and making lineups. So, I mean, we don't have time to dick around and have small talk while you guys try and figure out where the like button is, get your hands out of your pants.
As Chunky says, simple process.
Chunky's a mainstay here for his his emotional intelligence.
Yeah, 100%. We got the Dallas Mavericks, Sacramento Kings, 234 total. Sacramento favored by 4 in this game. Another game that is not super appealing from a fantasy perspective. Yes, Luke is going to be out, but Kyrie's up to 10.5. And, if he's in the 9K range, I think we could make a case. But at 10.5, I can't play him over some of these other studs on the slate. Damian Lillard tonight. I just can't click Kyrie over Dame tonight. So, man, I'm struggling to find anything. Sabonis is cheaper on FanDuel. I think you can make the case for him over there. He is 9.5K. Continues to be like $1,000 cheaper on FanDuel versus DK. I think he's a fine option over there. De'Aaron Fox, you could make the case for it, coming off a big, basically 60 fantasy point game, but that was against Houston. So not a ton of interest for me in this game. JT, we'll stick with you. Thoughts here, Mavs, Kings?
I just don't see anything that I'm making a priority. Nobody from these teams. I mean, it's probably a cross off for me. Kyrie 10.5. I don't love it. I don't love the spot. People think they're, that some people in the DFS still think that, oh, it's the same Sacramento team as in the past. It's not. This is not the same easy defense. So probably nothing for me.
Yeah. CDome, anything for you here in this one?
No, I mean, I was going to say, like, if you wanted to pivot from a lineup that you had Lillard and go Irving, like I wouldn't mind that, especially if you have multiple lineups with Dame, but it's very hard to get to this game in so many angles. And to me, when I look at it in this matchup, it's like, where can you? Sacramento's fully healthy, and then you have Dallas that. It's just we don't know that kind of synergy yet, even though they just came off a big win at the Clippers. I think they're still going to figure out this offense and stuff like that. So Kyrie Irving's probably going to dish a little bit more than shoot to kind of have that presence right now with being a ball handler. So I think I'm good on this, man. I just don't see where we could see any upside to help us.
Well, with 6 minutes to go, they got the job done. 381 already there. That's
no sweat.
Impressive. However, this comment, we could start getting them heading in the opposite direction. Valentine's Day is coming. If you want CDome, Hoop, and JT to be your Valentine, hit the like. Now that's a way to get the likes going in the opposite direction. So let's cool it with comments like that. We got the 369, couple games left. It's a good feeling. JT, chat gets the job done on a Friday night for us.
Appreciate it. Yeah, if we'd have known that was what you guys had in mind, we would have set it at 5,000 and a little bit more of a challenge.
3 more to go. Cavs, Pelicans, 222.5 total in this game. On the Cavs side, they're getting their guys back. Garland's back. Donovan Mitchell's back. And really everyone's kind of priced appropriately. So at full strength, 11-game slate where we have injuries. Not playing anyone on the Cavs side. On the Pelicans side, Ingram is back. I think he's somewhat interesting, probably more so on FanDuel. He was cheaper there the other day, 7-8 on FanDuel, so he's actually cheaper on DK. Maybe him. I don't love him, but really nothing standing out to me in this game. This will be a cross-off for me. Maybe Valanciunas, I guess, at 5'9" if you really want to, but not much here. CDome, anything stand out? Cavs, Pelicans?
God, I love Jared Allen here, but I just can't pay the 7,200 price tag. I really wish he was like low sixes, even like 5'9" to make me really kind of smash the button on him. But he's probably gonna eat here, man. It's just probably eating not enough to exceed kind of his salary. So, but Brandon Ingram, he's cheap. He is very cheap, man. And so, if you're willing to pay 7,100 the other day for him, you're willing to pay 7,600 for a guy that's going to shoot probably 20 times. That's heavily involved in the offense. The minutes are back. The volume's there. He can rebound. He can assist. Don't mind it whatsoever. So if he is the last piece that comes down to, hey, don't mind that play whatsoever because he is very underpriced for the type of player that he is.
Yep. JT, any Cavs or Pelicans for you tonight?
Probably, I'm on the same page as you guys. Maybe Brandon Ingram, but other than that, there's just not a whole lot here. We got 2 of the healthier teams on the slate.
Yep. All right, 2 more games to go. We have the Thunder. We have the Trailblazers. 240 total. Portland's favored by 3 in this game on the Portland side. Obviously, without Josh Hart, a little bit of a boost here to Jeremy Grant. They're also without Nurkic as well. So Jeremy Grant, I think, is a play, 6.7K. Solid option there. Dame, 10-9, thinks a great spend. Nasir Little, 3K flat. Anthony Simons, 6.8K. I think you can definitely play some Portland guys on the Thunder side. SGA, 10-8. Yeah, it's fine. Giddey at 8K. The price is getting up there. I'll probably pass on him. Jalen Williams coming off that big 38 fantasy point game. A lot of plays here in this one, but I'll definitely be focusing on the Portland side. I think they're in a really, really good spot. Dame, Grant, Little, Simons, all on my radar tonight. JT, any interest here?
Yeah, I mean, Dame at 10-9, that's a hefty price. It's a hefty price tag, but you can afford it tonight with the value. Simon's a little bit cheaper. Grant has really not had a big game, but this has been a good spot for opposing big men. So
playing so many minutes and like doing nothing. He has to. I mean, he has to do something here.
Right. It's a situation where just the makeup of the slate is going to make him lower owned, plus the fact that he really hasn't done anything with this opportunity, but he is going to at some point. So could be that this is the point where you've got no Josh Hart. So I like him. Nasir Little at 3K. And then on the other side, the only guy that I'm interested in from the Thunder is Jalen, not Jalen Williams, 5,500 for a small forward there. I'll take some shots on him.
All right. CDome, any Thunder or Trailblazers guys for you here tonight?
what happened to Colin Morikawa, man? It's just I'm tilted right now. Sorry. This game right here, I will say, when I look at it, it's interesting because one, the Dame Lillard ownership is wild for that 10.9 price point. So I don't know here. He's played them a few times already this season. Didn't have a good game yet to the degree, especially at this price point of 10.9. I don't know, man. I think I'm a seller here in this situation. One guy that is really interesting that I don't think people are paying attention to is the center, Jalen Williams. He just came off a really big game against the Lakers. He played 31 minutes, but now they have no Muscala. Okay. Saric might not even, make his presence tonight because he just got traded. So he's still going through the process. They haven't announced it yet. But if he's not there, Robinson Earl's also on the Q tag. Pukeski's out. Amori's got the Q tag as well. They don't really play him as much anyway. But they're depleted. Like they don't really have anyone besides Jalen Williams, Kenrich Williams, and Jalen Williams as like true guys that have played in the rotation. You have Dort, but once again, like he's also got the Q tag as well. If that comes down to it, you got a guy that's not going to get owned whatsoever that will probably get 30 plus minutes again against the Portland team and Eubanks that they struggle against big men. So this is great. Like if you want to leave a spot open, come towards like later in the evening, and let's just say it's the utility and you got, Jalen, you got Nasir Little in there, and then you maybe want to make a pivot to Jalen Williams because he is cheaper. I don't mind that whatsoever. So here's the situation. Like this could be a guy that can pivot off all the chalk from the beginning, and he could potentially see 30 plus minutes at a price point of 3,200. And we just saw the upside that he had against the Lakers. But don't get me wrong. This is a big man that can also shoot threes, and he's kind of excelled in the 15 to 21 minutes that he plays on a nightly basis. So just one thing to take in consideration. I'm surprised that like maybe not many people have been talking about this, but could be a nice pivot value-wise going into this, late night games, and I don't mind it whatsoever.
It has, with all the value emerging, and then Mark Williams popping up as an even better value now. Like, man, he has to be like low on. There's like no way around it. So I definitely like that call coming off a big game for sure. Last game on the docket here, we got the Bucks, we got the Clippers. Milwaukee only favored by 1. They're on a back-to-back here. Giannis is the spend that everyone's going to kind of go to, but as JT kind of mentioned earlier on in the show, it's a back-to-back here, and again, he's going to be very highly owned. So interesting spot when you consider that. But Chris Middleton is ruled out in this game, so it is a little bit of a boost to him. Drew Holiday continues to play a lot of minutes, but production kind of lacking, hasn't really flashed the upside. So for me, it's just going to be Giannis. And then on the Clippers side, Paul George is another guy. The upside just seems like so capped nowadays, but with Kawhi out, maybe we can consider him on FanDuel. He's really cheap at 8.2K. So Paul George, Giannis, even Marcus Morris, I think you can consider 4-3, but Clippers are a team that always kind of scare me a little bit, and I just don't want to go overboard. So for me, really, it's Giannis and Paul George. JT, any interest for you in this one?
Yeah, I mean, Norm Powell at 5,700 looks like he's going to be pretty popular, but I think there's a chance that, he's still getting 30 minutes a night here, and it is a paced-up matchup. Terrence Mann now at 4K. Reggie Jackson is gone. John Wall is gone. So I think, maybe you'll see his minutes stabilize here. It's a little bit more of a risk on this slate when we have so many other options, but that's why he's going to be lower owned. And then on the other side, it's pretty much Giannis, maybe Drew at 7,800, but I don't really love the play. They do have a lot of bodies, Milwaukee, on that back-to-back. And, yeah, that's about it.
CDome, any interest here?
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, with Middleton also being out, it's not like they had to travel, so I don't really buy into the back-to-back too much. And Giannis has been on a tear, man. To be honest with you, they need him a lot tonight in another great matchup, another, big team in the West. I think he thrives here. They struggle against power forwards and big men. So sign me up, man. To be honest with you, his projection is far greater than the next guy behind him, which is Tatum. It's like an 8 or 9 point gap. And usually when that happens, man, I can't shy away from a guy that has that much upside. So He's more likely to hit 70 to 80 fantasy points by far than any other player on this slate tonight. So for me, sign me up, regardless. And then, JT's right about Powell. He's going to get a lot of ownership, but 5,700 with Kawhi out, the minutes will be there. He'll take a lot of shots. So he's dual eligible. I get it. Listen, Paul George, I don't mind going here tonight, 8,900, but I think in order to stay competitive and keep this game close, he's going to have to be on the floor 36 plus minutes, which is nothing unusual. But I mean, they're going to need him greatly. He's dual eligible, so it gives you some flexibility. I don't mind it. Sub 4% ownership for a guy that if it stays close and they really need him tonight, who has the upside if need be, hey, I don't mind going there whatsoever. So definitely interesting late night game, especially because, with the Middleton situation out, I could see maybe people trying to get cute elsewhere and maybe trying to do a value play from Milwaukee, but they just don't exceed kind of the expectations of the other value plays we talked about. So for me, Giannis all day, and that's it.
Yeah, I like that call. And then the Paul George FanDuel, what did I say it was? It's like 8.2K. So if you're playing on FanDuel and you like Paul George, that's the spot to get him there.
That's a great price.
Yeah, really good price tag for him over there. So something to consider if you're playing on both sites. All right, well, you guys, where are we at on the likes? Obviously, we already got there, but 403. So you guys kept it going a little bit. 640 watching, solid ratio. You guys have earned it. I like the timestamp, JT. That's something we should definitely employ moving forward. A very veteran call on your part.
Yeah, it improved the efficiency, I found.
Certainly. Well, you guys earned the plays of the day. I always clear the way for my guys here, so I will go first. And my play of the day is going to be Mr. Big Bob Robert Williams, 6.1K. Center is loaded up with value. A lot of people are going to be going to different spots. Mark Williams, Zach Collins will get a ton of ownership. Robert Williams, 6.1K, a lot of upside, and the play can only get better if Al Horford were to be ruled out. So Robert Williams, Rich Parents play of the day. Secondly, we'll head on over to our guy CDome with the carbonated wine play of the day. Who do you got for us?
Man, it's a little bit of a crunch factor between who I wanted to go with, but it's going to be a pay up spend actually tonight. He's going to potentially be sub 5% ownership. But James Harden, he's coming in at 9,800. He grades just as well as a LaMelo, Edwards, Sabonis, Randall, Irving. I mean, these guys are all priced higher than him. Going underlooked. Knicks don't play defense. I think this game stays competitively close. If he shoots his 20-plus shots, he's going to get there. I love his projection tonight on a point-per-dollar basis. So James Harden, the beard, is my carbonated wine play of the day.
Yeah, it should be pretty much like unowned. I can't imagine many people clicking that name. So low ownership play, under 10K, Harden under 10K, always appealing. So don't hate that call. Lastly, how we end every Friday night, we hop on that flight, heading on over to Paris for the Eiffel Tower visit. JT, who do you got for us? Eiffel Tower play of the day.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I was talking about, I want to get off of some of the popular Spurs chalk, and it's a guy who has increased opportunity. A couple of trades have cleared the way. Big star on the team is sitting out tonight. It's been a matchup that guards have done very well in over the past 14 days, the past 30 days. In fact, even last night, we had an example. Dennis Schroeder dropping 50 fantasy points on the Milwaukee Bucks. Terrence Mann at 4K. Eiffel Tower play of the day.
Love it, love it, love it. It's been a blast, guys. Full 11-game slate tonight. Big boy slate. I'm sure we're going to get some news here as we get closer to lock. At about an hour and 10 minutes, we'll have our crew taking you up to lock. I believe JSU, Big T, Holden, answering all your questions and going through the news and notes of the slate. So appreciate you guys tuning in. For CDome, for JTHayes, I'm Hoop. Good luck tonight in your contests.